how you structure your day. And we're very much singing from the same hymn book, because this is exactly the same thing that I advise to my clients. You know, if you have back-to-back calls, allow yourself at least 10 minutes for yourself. You might need to pop to the loo, you want to pop outside, make a cup of tea, but schedule the 10-minute in between. But also schedule 15 minutes to follow up. At the most recent one-to-one, I was telling my client that, you know, if you do a 1-hour delivery, then you need half an hour to sum up that conversation and then email the client or send them whatever they need to receive from you, rather than have back-to-back conversations. And at the end of the day, feel like you've never achieved anything, because you then have all of that work piled up. And she was like, it was absolutely revolutionary for her to introduce those buffer times to follow up after each session.
I think scheduling is the phrase is absolutely right. You know, you've got to manage your time. And in fact, you've got to manage yourself.
I was going to say, I'm going to have to disagree on that, because you can't manage time. You have to manage what you do with it, what you do yourself.
Absolutely. So in managing yourself, you need to know that this is you got a blank diary, right? For example, you know, I decide what goes in, I decide what goes out. Now, in the majority of cases, you can do that. It's setting your boundaries. It's setting the time that says, this is the time I'm going to take. Put time in there for lunch. So many people nowadays just go, oh, I'm just going to work through lunch. Sleep hygiene, you mentioned that. There was a time, and this was the time when, you know, things weren't going so well. I probably was working about 3 or 4 hours sleep a night.
That's not sustainable.
Not sustainable. It's not sustainable.
Not at all.
So having that routine, I mean, now, yes, could I sit down of an evening and watch a whole series of Netflix back to back and, you know, get up at 4 a.m. thinking I need to get some sleep? Or do I, at a reasonable time, going, you know what, that's still going to be there. Let me go and get some sleep. Let me relax. Let me put the phone away before I go to sleep. Let me open a book and read a few pages of a book. Let my mind rest and get up refreshed and ready to take on the day.
I think we've gone through, normally I ask my guests to give some ideas to the listeners of what sort of things they could introduce into their day and week. And obviously today we're talking about cognitive hygiene boundaries, but I think we've gone through so many of them, and some of them are micro actions, aren't they? So we just sort of recap them in a way. Smile, breathe, take in fresh air, schedule little 5-minute breaks, schedule your lunch break. These are all adding those little boundaries that you keep your cognitive hygiene manageable.